So for our next dartfish kind of video analysis discussion, I had the assistance of the super fit and friendliest dude at Old School, trainer Ron, helping me out. So you're going to see a pull-up video first. So he just starts by kind of hanging out in that dead hang and does a strict pull-up, no kipping or sort of body English to it. He's obviously very, very strong. He could probably do many reps, this kind of movement. It looks good. So what jumps out to me here, when he's in that dead hang position, his ear comes all the way kind of through. So he's got good kind of gross overhead mobility. We certainly want to see that for any overhead pull or like a strict press, overhead push kind of movement. That's a good sort of beginning or finishing position respectively. You'll see in that same left hand image that his elbows are kind of facing towards me, and that as he starts to pull up, his elbows have locked forward because his shoulder is internally rotated, which shows us that there's some good lat dorsi activation. Your lat internally rotates and extends the shoulder, and then lat, and then kind of a finish with the biceps in this position, would kind of finish the movement. So obviously, in terms of performance, he's well above the bar there in the finish position. He's a few inches above it, so that looks golden. From the rear view, however, and I have the benefit of knowing not specifics, but that Ron had a right shoulder issue at some point. Was never surgically messed with, no catastrophic injuries, but perhaps something involving the labrum. So if you can see in the yellow marked images on the left-hand side, from a mobility standpoint in the dead hang, neither one is poor, but they're different. Like that little window between the ear and the shoulder just looks a little bit more restricted on the right and a little bit more open on the left. Without further information, you know, which one's normal, which one's not, you wouldn't be able to tell from just that, but they are different. So then on the finish position, if you can see in that little blue rectangle, he definitely is further leftward. So I take that to mean that he's using his left side more. He trusts it more. It's providing more of the power for the movement. We see this in squats when people shift their weight towards one side. Typically, it's either the stronger leg or the one they trust more. Same coming out of the hole in the bench. The side that moves first is probably more powerful out of that position. So we definitely start to see some little kind of right to left differences here, even in the context of a high performer. He could probably do 20 pull-ups, no problem. So looking at a different movement then, these are 50-pound dumbbells and a bench press, kind of an overhead view. It generally looks pretty good, but I want to draw your attention to two different things. So we're going to watch this same movement in slow motion, and I want you to watch his right side, so the left side of the image, right as he gets set up before he goes to descend. That that little shimmy. So it looks like he's kind of locking his scapula in, maybe side bending a little bit towards that side, just trying to kind of lock up and stabilize that right side before the movement kind of begins in earnest. Furthermore, I tried my best to get a good kind of midline, vertical line through the center of the bench. Like he's definitely positioned leftward on the bench to begin with. What that's going to do for him is going to give him support behind the right shoulder blade. And if you look, his right side never really gets down all the way into that kind of depth because his upper arm would kind of hit the bench, so to speak, as opposed to the left side has a lot of open space beneath it and can kind of get into that negative space sort of deeper into the hole you will. So doing analyses like this can show me what we need to look at clinically. So not to, give it a title without further information, but his right side clearly doesn't want to be in the kinds of positions that challenge the stability in the front of the shoulder. So whether that is the product of habits that he learned previously when this injury was more kind of active, or if there's still some kind of issues, right away we're doing the clinical testing for instability in the front of the shoulder. We're testing the strength of the rotator cuff and all the muscles that support the scapula. Whether it's a bad habit or it's still a protective mechanism because there's still an issue going on, these little subtle things might not kind of stand out until they make themselves known. So the earlier we can pick up on this stuff and start doing something about it, we don't have to sustain that new injury to learn what's going on. It just we can figure it out ahead of time. So it's just another great example of kind of when you really look closely at movement and right versus left and what happens at different points in a motion, and we can really glean a lot from that.